Welcome everyone, Joe here with RangeMe at our vitamin, weight management, and sports nutrition session here in Florida. And with me is Brandy Alexander, who's a senior buyer over at 99 Stores. And she covers several categories. And what we're gonna talk about today is we wanna manage kind of your expectations as a brand on the platform. So we're gonna talk a little bit about how Brandy uses RangeMe to discover new products and why, the cadence, how frequently she deals with brands and why it's important to be a little patient sometimes because timing is a big part of how she engages with brands. So Brandy, thanks a lot for joining us. And to start off, can you just talk a little bit about how you use RangeMe on a daily basis?
Sure. And thanks for having me.
Of course.
So I like using RangeMe quite a bit because I think it's a very helpful tool, especially for a buyer that has multiple categories. You don't always have time to reach out to every single vendor every single day. So I actually get emails once a week for all of my categories specifically to look at RangeMe and see the latest and greatest. If there's any category specifically that I think we have a deficit in, one specifically I'll give you is coffee and tea. You look at every store and they have like an 8-foot section plus where we have like maybe 4 feet. So I think there's opportunity for us to add new excitement there. So I'll go to RangeMe, I'll look at a host of different assortments or brands. I will reach out to the contact person, just educate them a little bit on 99 Stores because a lot of people don't know who we are and what we do, especially if you're not West Coast based. And then the conversation will go from there. They'll reach back out and then we'll take the conversation strictly to emails and we'll converse back and forth. I think the thing that might be a little bit difficult for people is that this is, with me having multiple categories, my third show in 2 months. So in addition to doing all the shows, there's also the follow-up that you have to keep in mind. You have to have 20-minute meetings with vendors, and then once you get back home, that turns into hours of meetings. In addition to all the internal meetings I have to have, and then the other current assortment of vendors that I have to meet with and talk to and buy from on a daily basis.
So you bring up a good point, actually. Buyers are incredibly busy. So like Brandy said, this is her third session in what? In like 2 months? 2 months, yeah. Because I've seen her at the other ones too. And she has the meetings here at ECRM sessions, and then the follow-ups that you're dealing with. And in between that, you're going on RangeMe. So, and just which categories do you cover as well?
So I am currently overseeing wellness and hydration. So that's typically all the ingestibles with health. So diet, protein, vitamins, medication, and I also do beverages. So all the shelf-stable beverages for us, except for alcohol.
Gotcha. So in your example that you mentioned before with like coffee and tea and those categories where you have a need and you're looking, so you may reach out more quickly to a brand that you discover, right? So what would be the timing on that, like an accelerated one where there's a really strong need for you right now?
So if I find a need and a vendor that I think we can make work just based on the pricing, I'll reach out that day. Hopefully they can get back to me within the week. We set up a follow-up call for the week or the week after that. And that conversation is typically talking about how best we can work together, what items they have available, and also the lead time for their items. And then we have to get them set up as a vendor, which takes anywhere from a week to 2 weeks. Once they're set up, then we can start writing orders and then we base it off of their lead time. So I would say quickly, 1 to 2 months between us reaching out to actually getting the goods on the floor. Okay,
so that's on the quick side, right? So from first contact on RangeMe to actually getting in the stores, 1 to 2 months. But that's not always the case. Now, to contrast with that, we're gonna talk about other categories where you don't have that need and the time frame when that comes into play.
Yeah, so I would say there's other categories that don't have such immediate needs. We are always sufficiently stocked in quite a few of them. So when I'm looking at that, it's like what's new and trendy that we are not carrying that I want to offer to our customers. So I'll reach out just to get the conversation started. But again, if we don't have a need, then it could be another 6 months to a year where we actually get the things on the floor because that's when I foresee it. And I can give you an example, like typically we have diet products that we do year round, but January is the big month that we have, you know, the end caps of diet pills, nutrition, because that's when people want to get better. So we're in September right now. It'll be a few months from now, but if we were talking about this in March, it wouldn't be until December that I'm actually placing those orders, in January where it ships to our stores.
Gotcha. So, you know, there's a lot of variables that come into play.
Absolutely.
And it may be not the, you know, no fault of the vendors. It's just that your category is doing so well. It's fully stocked. You don't have a need. So it could be maybe you poked around and checked out their profiles, but there's no need for you for that year.
Correct.
Okay. But that could change the next year. Maybe that's...
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. So, you know, it's important to have some patience when you're on the platform because it changes. And what Brandy just said is a great example. Two contrasts. One, she has a need, boom, you could get on within 2 months. However, on the other side of the coin, could be more than a year before that need happens. So it's still good for them to stay in touch or like once you engage them to like keep you updated.
Yeah, and I typically, once I reach out to a vendor, even if we're not doing business for another 6 months to a year, we still keep in contact and I'm still reaching out to them. And potentially I'll still get them set up as a vendor if we know we're doing business together, just because I know that takes a little bit of time. So when we're ready to get the ball rolling, it's a lot smoother.
Okay, but you're a lot nicer than a lot of, you know, that's not always the case.
That's
you know,
true, you're
there
right.
are some that if there is no need, they just won't contact them. So kudos to you. That's, you know, really nice on your part to get the ball rolling. But I've seen the gamut, you know, if there's no need, they're not doing the review. They're not even going to touch, you know, or reach out until that time comes. But you do it on a more regular cadence, which is awesome.
Yeah, I feel like I can put the shoe on both foots of the buyers and the sellers. And I like to think that we're not in the business to waste each other's time. So if it doesn't work out, I'll let you know then. If I think there's potential for it, then okay, let's continue the conversation. If I know for a fact we're going to do business, let's get you set up because I know we're going to make something work. So,
and again, it could always change. I mean, a new trend, a new fad comes and all of a sudden now you're interested in a category that maybe last year wasn't top of mind.
Absolutely. Things change very quickly for us. And I mean, the goal isn't for us to do business where we run into like the fidget spinners, which were popular for a little bit and then completely died. So obviously that would change our business a bit, but in beverage specifically, it's a little bit more consistent in terms of business. So that's helpful.
I still have my fidget spinner.
I do too.
Yeah, and I use them during meetings. It's under the screen during virtual meetings.
Mine's in my office.
Any last minute, any other recommendations just in general that you would have for brands on RangeMe?
I would say reach out to some buyers just to get their perspective or opinion and, you know, be patient because things do take a lot of time and everyone is busy.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Always a pleasure to chat with you.
You as well.